In this video we'll be servicing our Brunton Autoprop. We'll be changing the bearings, the seals, putting a new anode on it and then putting it back on the boat. We'll be using Brunton's own service documentation for our H20. It's got some great exploded drawings and some really good tips. Brunton supplied us with a set of tools which we would recommend you get if you're going to do this job. Anyway, enjoy the video, guys. God, it's clogged up with muck. I have to use a little tiny Allen key to clean it out. I used to do this when I was a kid. We used to race bikes. It was always changing ball bearings. Done both sides. Haven't greased it up yet. We'll do that in a minute. That goes in there. 2 weeks after arriving back in Tunisia, we had Impavidus lifted out. She'd been sitting there for 6 months not moving, and so we had a bit of growth on the bottom. Luckily, with the copper coat, this is soon quickly removed with a scraper. Nice and clean. We'll leave the guys working and come back to it in a bit. So today we're going to start with the Brunton. Just for your information, there's the old outer gasket that completely came off, even though I spent €37 on special glue. A Brunton prop, first thing we've got to do is take this anode off. That's particularly worn this year. There's 2 Allen head bolts that release this and expose all the bolts underneath. So we'll get those underneath where the bolts are in a minute, take the prop off. I can't hold the camera and work at the same time. Cindy's up at the shops trying to get some hydrochloric acid to clean this off. Muric acid, whatever. Let's go. Hello Pusscat, you look a bit of a state. So that's those 2 bolts out. They're actually 5mm Allen key that you'll need. And Brunton supply that when you buy the prop. They actually supply the right size Allen keys. I'd forgotten about those, and now we just got to try and gently prise that off to get those bolts underneath. Let's have a go at that. That's off, and you can see inside here still some grease actually. Inside there's a series of bolts. Now there's a small locking socket head bolt, and then a bigger socket head bolt, and then the big nut. So I'll take those off in turn. I'll show you on the diagram what they look like. So you can see on the exploded diagram that the Brunton prop is actually held on by a large bronze nut. That nut is secured in place by a socket bolt that goes through the centre, and then a second socket bolt locks in to the first one, and the first one has a little groove in it that allows the socket bolt to sit in place. It's these 2 locking bolts locking the nut into position with Loctite that holds the prop on the shaft. Centre bolt is now undone there, and we just slide the prop off. Take that bolt out of there in a moment. Then we have our Ambassador Marine strippers. They'll need a good clean up as well. And then there's our anode, which not too bad. That'll wire brush up. And of course, our gasket. That's it. So we tuck the gasket up in here. over the winter because it was hanging down. Didn't want to cut it. I don't think we're going to save that one. We'll leave it, but this will all clean up. Not too bad. Let's have a look at this prop. So cleaning up the Brunton now, taking all the lime scale off. Can't get any acid. The only stuff we can get is this stuff here, and it's useless. But pants, yeah. I'm going to try and go into town and get some hydrochloric acid or muric acid. Well, that's the prop cleaned up. We used some acid and some sandpaper on it, a couple of spots that need doing. I'll do those in a minute. Now we've got to remove these blades. I think we'll go and do that on a table. Oh well, up on the hard, as you can see, it's sunny Tunisia, sunny noisy Tunisia, but it's a working boatyard. Here's the instructions from Brunton's that come with the kit. Now the propeller's off. The first thing I want to do is get out these small grub screws here, so that I can actually get access to these pins, pinholes on there. So I'm not going to film every single individual moment because it'll make a very boring video, but I'll run you through what I'm going to do as I'm going to do it. So the first thing is to remove 1, 2, 3, 4 of those screws, put them somewhere safe, and I think we're going to replace the O-rings underneath them as well. Right, God, it's clogged up with muck. I have to use a little tiny Allen key to clean it out. But even doing that with cleaning it out with acid hasn't taken all the muck out. So this is a 3mm Allen key. Goes in there.
Oh look.
Yeah, there we go. Phew, it's hot. I just had to take a little toffee hammer and tap that peg spanner in, and then Cindy held the blade and I tapped it there just to release it, and they release anti-clockwise, so lefty loosey. Ooh, that's going to take some cleaning. There we go. That's what it looks like inside.
So far?
Yeah, 2,000 odd hours. 2,000 odd miles that did from the last strip down. Right. What does it say to do next? Okay, so we've got those off. They were quite stiff. And the next thing to do is have access to the bearing mechanism, release the tab on the screw, which is bent down into the locking nut. So that's that one there, look, it's bent down in. Now that says LH on there, so presumably that's left-handed thread. But we'll have a look. Using the tab spanner fitted into the slots and release the screw. Okay, so we've got to put a screwdriver in there and just prise that up. I don't think that one's big enough. No, we'll have to get a screwdriver.
What screwdriver?
So that's the tab that I've just lifted up. I have to say that was a bit of a struggle. I had to get a small electrical screwdriver, which is not the best tool, to get in and underneath it. But once I got underneath it, I was able to lift it by prising it up like that. Now this is a left-handed thread, and there is a special spanner for undoing that. I've just actually put this in and tapped it in. I'm sorry about the background noise, guys, but it's the shouty team are here and all shouting at each other, and of course it's a working boatyard, so hopefully you can hear okay. I'm sure you can. Right, let's undo this, and it's marked up left hand. It does say in the instruction that it's actually a left-handed thread, which would make sense. So let's take that out. Here's a tip for you with these tools: just tap them into position. This is a left-handed thread, so normally it would be lefty-loosey, but actually you're doing it righty because it's left-hand thread. Now I will say these tabs, if you can see there, are really difficult to get out, and I have just checked, you do get new ones in the kit, so at least you're going to be replacing. There's not too many worries about damaging them, hopefully. And then the next bit, let's see what it says. The next thing is to fit the nut spanner into the slot. So that's the nut spanner, and that fits in there like that on the locking nut and release by turning anti-clockwise. You may need to apply some force, as the locking nut is originally factory fitted using thread locking compound. Okay, so get the big persuading tool on it. And let me go in there. Huh. Oh. Can you... Let's... Should put the digger gun on there.
You've broken the seal already.
Yeah, I thought it was going to be really tight, but apparently not.
Apparently perhaps that's why you need to replace the bearings.
Yeah. So just take that last little bit out, and out that comes. It looks like that's just one piece. There's a lot of muck in there. Right, well, we'll take that out, clean it all up, and then we'll do the other side, and I'll show you what it's like. That's the taper bearing. That taper bearing's at it. Right, so let's have all these out. The inside cleaned out. I'm going to give it a little bit of thinness in there just to take out any staining, any residual grease, but it is pretty clean in there now. Not that difficult to do, but what I would say is these blades are marked up number 2, number 1, and I've just put a little scratch on there, number 1, and the other side I've put a number 2, so I know which one comes from where. Whether that's necessary or not, I don't know, but that's it. Just finished cleaning them up, and then I'm going to clean these up and take the seals off and take the bearing races out. I'll show you that. Smeared. There we go.
That came that easy.
Yeah. So that's one. And then we just pull this out with a pair of pliers, it says. here's some I prepared earlier. Easy as that. And we've just got to clean them up with some IPA. Same on this one. That was easy, wasn't it? So clean these, clean the other half with IPA, and then start putting it back together again. The shouty crew are back again. I've got some IPA, isopropyl alcohol, which I'm cleaning out grooves with Cindy's toothbrush. And don't laugh, it is. And that will take all of that grease out there, because we've got to put some Loctite on there. So we want to have it clean. And those bearings came out pretty damned easy. I'm impressed with that. Easy to get at. There we go. So I was going to go dancing in this shirt next week. What do you reckon? Be alright, isn't it?
Yeah, wash the grease out. You fixed my washing machine.
Yeah. I was going to go for that kind of, you know, lived in look. It's pretty damn clean, isn't it? That's one. Just keep finding little bits of...
that you missed me from before.
Blimey, there's quite a lot there. So on these thread caps, on the underside, you'll see there's a little black O-ring. When you clean all those out, get all the grease and muck and detritus, and clean out this grease hole as well, you need to take that O-ring out, because you're going to replace them with new ones. So I've just got this little hole to clean out with a piece of this paper towel, and then I think the next job will be knocking the bearing casings in. Okay, it's started sanding again. So fit the seals into the blades. Prior to that, so we've cleaned all the hubs up, we've cleaned the end caps up, we've got O-rings to go on there. Next thing is to fit the outer half of the taper roller bearings into the blades and check it fits the right way up. They actually give you a diagram here. So the small end of the bearing goes towards the hub, so that will go in that way, like that, and then the bearing will just tap in small end, so like that, just gently, there we go, that's one. And then it says put the seals in, and the seals come in the kit as well. We've cleaned all that out with isopropyl alcohol, and it's these big seals. We just need to push them in. Well, they're tight. So we've got those seals pushed in there. They were a bit of a, but you can do it. Just take your time, and you know, don't damage them. So I'm trying to open a packet of crisps. That's it, boy. Let's put these in. Now only the right amount will go in.
Got one extra sitting there.
Like that. And that's where the those two O-rings are in that pack as well. So 6mm stainless steel will now be positioned in the ball track on the hub. It's important that all the balls, when all the balls are positioned, there is a gap. If the balls are touching all the way around the track, remove one ball. Right, so they are all touching. Let's remove a ball. So there you go, that's a top tip from Brunton. All the balls are positioned, there's no gap. If the balls are touching all the way around, then the track remove one ball. 23 balls on each track. Do you want to count your balls, darling? Ensure both the nut and post are free from grease. So 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23. Locate the blade over the hub centrally and locate the inner part of the taper roller bearing. So this one is number 2, so that lowers down onto there, like that, and then we take this bearing. You can, now I need another hand. It doesn't say grease the bearing, so I may have made a faux pas there. So I'm going to keep the inside of that bearing clean and dry, and because you've got to put that locking nut on, and that locking nut has got Loctite on it. So fit the nut using the thread locking compound supplied. So we have a nut. Where is it? There's the thread locker. Okay, so a little bit of thread lock, and they supply you've got to make sure it doesn't go in the bearing, and then it goes flat side down. Shouty, shouty. There we go, and let's get the torque wrench ready to torque that up. A little bit in there. Okay, so old school torque wrench goes onto the special tool, and that's a 19mm, and we want 10 to 12 Newton meters. So there we go. That's 10. That feels a bit tight. That feels a bit tight to me. Yeah, that's it. So it's tight but free. Just put a tiny little drip in there. Just so it sits in that thread and goes off. And then we've got to do the same the other side. First, we've got to put these new caps on, and it doesn't say this, but I'm going to put a tiny bit of Loctite on there. So this is the left hand thread, it's got LH written on it. So normally I'd tighten it that way, so I actually tighten it the other way, and I've got this special tool. Okay, I've got it. You can just hold that for a sec. You just need to knock that. They're really well made, these tools, because they're now that's it, that's the position, and then what we've got to do is take that tool out. We've got to knock that tab down there onto that nut, and that will hold it in place. So that's where we need the smaller set of punches. Here's some I prepared earlier. And it's that size punch. If you can just hold that Cindy in there like that. And then you've got to knock that into place. Okay, you can get the camera on there. You can see how that punch is exactly the right size to punch into that nut. That locking tab is exactly in the right place. And now we've got to do the same the other side. But first, what we're going to do is I'm going to put a little bit of grease in here. I'm going to put this O-ring on the cap, like that. A little bit of grease on there, some in there, and then I'm going to screw this on so that I haven't got to go back to that side. It's all going to get filled up anyway in a minute when we put the grease gun on it. Just save a lot of work with the grease gun. Bit of grease around that O-ring, stop it tearing as we put it in. Now these ones are righty-tighty, lefty-loosey, aren't they? Shouty, 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 shouty. The first bolt goes in. I'll put some Loctite on there. Oh, sorry, yeah, we're back on. Done both sides. Haven't greased it up yet. We'll do that in a minute. That goes in there. We just do that up. We need shouty shouty. That's what we need. Nearly. That's it. And then you have the big bolt goes in this locking nut. Gets Loctited. Okay. And then again, you have to torque that. all the torque settings are in the instructions. And I'll show the diagram of this, but this needs to be Loctited as well. That one just gets pinched home. That's it. Okay, cut that. Now the anode. And again, little drop of Loctite. When we do the seeker flexing, we'll put some over the top of that, stop them rotting out. That's it. Now all we have to do is grease them. Pump the grease in there. It all comes out that hole. Just about to run out of battery now. Supplied with the kit are new O-rings and new grub screws. This is parts number 7 and number 1 on this diagram. Now you place a small nipple which also comes with the kit, that's TRI0164 grease nipple, into the end cap, and as you pump the grease in you turn the blade round until no more air comes out, and this greases those bearings inside. Service schedules tell you roughly when you should re-grease the bearings or tighten them or adjust them, but every time we come out we do have a good look and make sure that we're within spec. It's 7:45 in the morning. Just arrived to get the boat lifted back in. The top sides haven't been polished. It's just too expensive to have them done. A lot of muck on this side from the rib that was parked up against us. With a bit of 120 grit just over on the bottom in a few places. There's the damage that we had on the front there. The copper coat. It's gone back on, that's been sanded back down again. Cleaned up the through holes, and we've actually taken these out and replaced them, and the reason was the seeker flex that we used to seal never actually went off. It stayed sticky. And it was weeping. I won't say leaking, it was actually weeping, so we took them out, rebedded them on new seeker flex. That's the inlet for the water maker that hopefully we're going to get going. Got the spare parts for props been done, new bearings, new anode. Anode on the drive is not at all worn really, it's got a few bits out of it, but it's fine. You can change them underwater if you need to. Prop feels nice and smooth. There we are. It's all ready to go back in. Need to get back under here and do this, but we can do that in the water. Clean her up, get the dinghy launched. Got the new outer gaiter on, cleaned all the anodes up. Now here's the thing, we don't need an anode on the keel. but the last 3 seasons we've had one on there and it does erode. That's a year's use. Within next year, or maybe before, I might have to change it, but it just bolts in with an M8 bolt. A couple of bashes on the keel have touched up while we were here, sanded them down. Somebody's coat there, not mine. Bow thruster done. That's it. Ready to splash. Just got to pay the man and go down to customs, prove that I've paid him, and then we're off. Well, I hope the video's been useful for you, or at least you've got some entertainment from it. Thank you to Brunton, who helped us out providing the tools to do the job. We're not sponsored by them. We paid the regular price for the kit. Thanks, guys. Now, don't forget to like, subscribe, share this video with your friends, or anyone that's got a Brunton prop and wants to change the bearings. In summary, we'd say it's a fairly easy job, and if you can change a spark plug, you could do this job easily yourself. If the video's been useful to you, you can always buy us a beer or a coffee, or think about becoming a patron. All the links are in the description to the video, or you can go to our website, which is www.svimpavidus.com. Well, for now, guys, all that's left for me to say is sail safe, and we'll see you in the next video.